Right, hopefully this is working. We've entered our arrival data already because it's crazy. Just coming up now on our top of descent, that's the marker there with the pink speed dot and the down arrow. If I engage the descent at about 5 miles before that, it means we do the 1,000 feet per minute descent and then intercept the descent profile quite nicely. It looks like it's been properly calculated this time. We've got about 80 miles to go. We're at 38,000 feet and we're descending down to 6,000 feet as one of the constraints. So I'm going to engage now. Descent mode, so it now should hold 1,000 feet per minute, and it's going to intercept the descent profile at this point here where the zigzag is. So hopefully this works out and we don't end up doing the crazy thing, because the last few flights the VNAV has put us way too high just before final approach. Now we're coming into Biarritz in France. We've just flown from Lisbon. Looking at the weather is looking exciting in Biarritz. What we have.
Begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of.
That would definitely be a good time because
if you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated until your
it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be very bumpy. So what we've got, let's try and translate this. We've got time 010. So 01, 1st of the month, April, at 0900 Zulu, automatic weather forecast, variable 3 knots. Wait, what? 6,000 feet visibility, 6,000 meters visibility, light rain, broken clouds at 1,000, broken at 2,200, broken at 2,900, thunder clouds, temperature free, QNH 1017, forecasting 330 degrees, 20 knots, gusting 35, 2,000 meter visibility, thunderstorm, rain, and I don't know what GS means. Let me translate that. Meta decoder. LFBZ, go. So light rain, gusting, thunderstorm, rain, and small hail. So we've got hail as well, which is GS, and then broken, fused, scattered cumulonimbus. TCU means not decoded. Okay, that wasn't decoded either. That's interesting. Conditions are expected to change within the next 2 hours to this crazy wind speed. So I'm hoping that will be valid by the time I get there, because otherwise it's going to be a bit dull. We're just descending now over the Pyrenees, so we can see the mountains just poking out through the clouds here. The wind up here is 320 degrees at 5-6 knots. We're on the descent profile quite nicely now, so if I look at the arrival thing, I'm going to set 6,000 and hopefully that'll pop up somewhere on here as an arrow saying we're going to arrive there at 6,000 feet. I've just brewed myself a kettle, so I'm going to go and grab a cup of tea. Very important you have a cup of tea when you do an approach like this. You can deal with all sorts of nonsense with a cup of tea. I don't think it's going to be that crazy though, but it is suggesting use runway 27, and I think the reason is because of this tempo forecast, this 330 degrees 20 gusting 35. If I had otherwise gone for 09, it probably would have been not such a good idea. So I just changed the arrival runway in the air there about half an hour ago when I was at the top of the climb. Let's set the... it's 1017, so that's good, right. Cup of tea time. Back in a minute. I'm now armed with the cup of tea. Why have we lost the descent profile by 600 feet? Jesus Christ, you leave this thing alone for 5 seconds. Bit of speed brake. Then you're going to reinsert the profile, supposedly very shortly. But that's going to keep jumping away from me, isn't it? Maybe. At 23,000 feet to go, I've got about 85 track miles. So that's okay. It's acceptable. Here comes the bug. Here comes the yo-yo. Look at those wings going. You can see the turbulence is building as we come into the thunderstormy weather. There you go. Speed brakes in. And we'll ask for a bit more speed brake. Just to keep the speed down so that the aircraft doesn't try and get away from doing its own descent profile. It's being a bit of a lazy bugger right now, it's kind of trying to avoid it doing the hard work. So, still overhead the Pyrenees. We're at 20,000 feet now, we've got the descent profile, so hopefully now we can start reducing the speed brake level. It's like EasyJet because it's the only airline that would actually do flights like this, like Lisbon to Biarritz and stuff. Apart from Ryanair, but nobody don't want to go that low. Okay, looks like speed's under control. Speed brake back away. Cup of tea time, oh yes. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. 40 miles to go, 18,000 feet. 72 track miles-ish. We'll see about that. So, looking at we still don't have an estimated level off point. If I go below 4,000, so there's a constraint at 3,500 that we're not to be below, so I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put 3,000 in. That gives the aircraft the right to descend all the way down to that constraint, which is anyway somewhere in here. So basically just going to try and hit this the whole way around. Over the bumpiness of the Pyrenees, the mountains always causing a bit of turbulence in the air above. 16,000 feet, seatbelt signs going on because it's also getting quite bumpy. So let's just hope that this does a good job. I don't want to be at 3,500 already like the first one. So we might end up being way too low all of a sudden, which would be the opposite of what I want. I need to go shopping and I need to do a lot of theoretical physics. I've already done like 3 pages of it and it's still only halfway. Yep, still coming over the bouncy Pyrenees. Let's have a look out the window, look at that lovely rain and thunderclouds here. See the rain coming down there. Some mountains here, lovely roads, good mountain passes here. Quarry underneath the left wing there. Nice plateau up here. It's quite well forested actually. So 13,000 at Begoit. Try and get to 6,000 feet by this one here, that's the goal. So it's about another 6,000 to go really, so that's why we're doing a kind of good descent. Actually I think we'll be quite on the money when we get there. So it's looking like the VNAV is doing a good job. Turning left to Donos. Donos is the initial fix of the standard arrival routing star. Holding 2,300 feet per minute. Well, yeah, we can see the thunderclouds. We've got 36 knots, and let's just check the weather. The weather's still saying the same thing, so no change in forecast. But we are going to slow down now, and it looks like that's been built into the VNAV profile. We can see we're reducing our descent rate to get below 250. The 220 here is going to be the tricky one, I'd assume. So let me just quickly make sure that that does happen. Now we're on the speed, the plane starts to descend further. Basically, it tries to keep the speed between these two bands really, like it's tolerance. There's less tolerance above 255 is okay when you're supposed to be going 250. Okay, that's flight level 100. So we'll put all the landing lights on. And the runway turn-off and the taxi takeoff lights. Getting into a cloud now, hoping for bumps. Let's have a look down at the instruments because we're in a cloud. Going down nicely, 9,000 feet now. We've got to be below 6,000 by the next waypoint, which is about 10 miles, and we've got 3,000 feet to do it in. So that will be okay, I think. Coming through some nice weather. Biarritz traffic Alpine 45 Hotel, Donos 9 Sierra arrival, runway 27 at Donos, flight level 80. We're estimating to be at the runway at 10:07. Let's check I've got real time. Yeah, I do. Real time and live weather. 7,800, we're aiming for this one below 6,000 feet, so that's looking good so far. The next one is below 3,500, above 3,000. And the one after that is above 3,000. Okay, 6,500 feet, got 3 miles to go. This looks like we're going to hit that target quite on the money. Looks like VNAV is sorted. The only thing I think it struggles with is when all of the constraints are above this altitude, then it really tries to stay above that altitude too much, to the point where you're like above 10,000-ish, and it goes, yeah, I'll do that at 25,000 then. And you're like, no VNAV, no, that was incorrect. Okay, we've got another speed reduction phase built in there. We're going to switch over to the pressure 1017. You see the speed's being brought down and we haven't gone off the profile, so the VNAV speed is perfectly aligned with the VNAV altitude, so we're on the path quite nicely. No sign of the runway. The wind has not updated, I don't think. Wind speed 3 knots, temperature 32.2. No, still hoping this is going to be more crazy than that. We've got 24 knots coming from above right now. We're going to engage the LS mode. We're using the ILS because we have got 6 miles of visibility, so it's not perfect. Hey VNAV, what you doing? You're meant to be descending. Okay, so VNAV is no longer working, apparently. Seems to descend down to 3,000 feet by about there. That's looking okay. Just going to fly the entire approach all the way through properly. 220 knots. I'm going to ask for approach phase. I'm going to do flaps 1 now. Tweaking of the auto brake just to keep the speed brake, sorry, just to keep the descent rate reasonable, otherwise we do end up levelling off completely, which is not reasonable. Got 9.6 miles to go, we're just about to start left turn onto base leg. So there's the Biarritz River, Bayonne River. It's saying we're 1900 above the descent profile, which I don't think is quite right. I think that, or below it, sorry. I think that means if we're trying to hit this one at 3000, which is okay, I guess. But we are quite high, and now we're 1700 above the profile. So you can see the problem now, the VNAV's become inconsistent in the last phases, so I think that's why in reality you do usually switch to open descent by this point anyway. Okay, there is the thing, so I'm actually going to ask the aircraft to do 3 degrees descent now. It will also help us bring the speed down. I'm going to put flaps 2 and ask for 170. And you can see we're now below the flaps 3 speed check, so once we get to 170 I'm going to put flaps 3 out so we're safely below. Flaps 3 going in now. Here is traffic Alpine 45 Hotel, turning base and then final runway 27 ILS approach, 11 miles. Everyone told where we are. Looking above now, everything's set up nicely. Let's check the checklists. Approach, barrow set, seatbelt set, minimums. Ooh, we need set minimums. Let's do 150 feet. Even though it's not that. Water brake is set to medium, engine mode is approach. Planning checklist memo, no blue. Let's do recall, no blue. Checklist complete. Next checklist. Okay, we're now on the localizer. We're going to arm the approach as well now. Once we hit 3000 we're going to start descending there. Just coming in over a nice bit of motorway junction here in France. We've got spring coming out, so the trees are already starting to show a bit more green than normal. Wind wise we've got 14 knots coming from the right hand side, so it's not quite the crazy approach I promised, I'm sorry. I'm also sad, don't worry about that. We've got 5 miles until Biarritz, and that's supposedly where we're going to intercept the glide path. 9 miles to go. Let's switch over to the flight director rather than the bird. Flaps reset. 8 miles. And glide slope. White of this means that's going away. I'm going to set a missed approach altitude of 5,000 feet now. Speed brake is still out, so I'm going to put that in, arm the speed brake. Landing gear, gear down.
2,500.
the speed over to the aircraft. There doesn't seem to be any other traffic on final, so we're just going to keep going down. And flaps 4 can come in after 160. Okay, put that in now. You can see the weather is not ideal, but it looks like the wind isn't going to be too crazy. It's going to be a bit of a crosswind, but we're going to be fine with that. Absolutely wunderbar. Oh, look at the disappearing coffee cup trick. There we go, just sending our way down now. Oh, they've got a swimming pool. Got the rain coming in, so there's the tempo forecast may have some accuracy to it. 5 miles to go, still not visual. So we're waiting for the runway to become visual before I switch over to manual flying. Cabin needs to be checked in. That's cabin check complete. And looking for the runway. Starting to see it there through the cloud, not quite 100% yet. Okay, now it's visible. 10 knots right. 9 knots from the right. 8 knots from the right. Visible.
1,000. 1,000. 1,000.
There we go. Biarritz traffic Alpine 45 Hotel short final runway 27 landing. What have we got here? We got some weird colours. What's the purple doing? Keeping it in line there. Oh, 700 feet.
500.
I'm aiming at those blocks. Now these GPWS callouts aren't exact because this airport sits on a small hill, so we're going to lose a bit of that as we get closer and closer to the runway. Looking good in terms of visual picture. ILS says we're too high. That's fine.
300.
ILS there.
100 above.
Continue.
200. Minimum.
5 knots.
100.
Nice and gentle.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Touchdown. Reverse the screen. Decel. 80 knots. Manual braking. I'm going to take the exit off on the left here, on the right even. Who have we got to compete with today? We've got Air France, Transavia, and an EasyJet. .25 knots, good exit speed there. Only lights off and strobes also off. We're going to go and find our stand now. So we could just take one of these two. These are actually big enough for a 777. But you know, this is EasyJet. We're not going to pay for those jetways. No, no, no. That'd be far too nice. We're going to go and taxi to Charlie 6. There's one. Gonna use that. Charlie 6 there. Sceneries by Flightbeam, they make really good USA scenery, and this is not too bad either. Look outside for the steering part. Aiming for the A320 mark. There we go, on the mark. Nicely lined up. Parking brake set. External power's already connected. Position lights, the only things that stay on. No, it's just switching over. Got the Transavia 737-800 there. Where's my stairs? Oh, God. They could at least have put the stairs in there. You can walk them all back. Don't even get bus. Right, let's end that there then. 27 minutes long.